Hello everyone, we are the V project group. Our project title is investigating the biological impacts of radio spectrum.
I am Murtada. I am a PhD student at WINLAB.
Hello everyone, this is Tom. I just graduated from Rutgers in Electrical and Computer Engineering and is going to Cornell for grad school.
Hi, I'm Justin and I'm a Rutgers undergrad studying computer science.
I'm Joseph Florentine and I study electrical engineering and physics.
It's well known that bees are using the Earth's magnetic field for navigating from one point to another and also to maintain their orientation while they are flying. In this project, we would like to explore if the bees can detect radio frequency signals, and if they do, then this will help us to answering the question if RF signals have any impact on the natural behavior of the bees. To do that, we built a bee feeder, as you will see later, that has many components, and we deployed it at a bee farm. In that bee feeder, we have source of food that provides sugar water and sometimes bitter water, and also a radio frequency source. And so when we have the radio frequency source on, we provide the bees with sugar water and leave it to them to sense the RF signal associated with the sugar water. While if the RF signal was off, then this means there is no sugar water. They may have salt water or bitter water. So our approach is kind of uh, it's a kind of in the wild experiments in which we don't capture or release any of the bees.
A large challenge of building an outdoor bee feeder is integrating multiple components into a single homogeneous system which can withstand outdoor field conditions. Some of the components of our feeder are a low frequency and high frequency coil which produce magnetic fields at the entrance of the feeder. We also have a Raspberry Pi, a small single board computer, controlled camera which allows us to track and count bees as they enter and exit the entrance tube. We also have an electrical control system which needs to be able to power the Raspberry Pi and turn it on and off. It also needs to be able to send power to the pumps and trapdoors and all other feeder aspects for delivering and removing food from the system. Furthermore, this control system also needs to be able to deliver power from the solar system to these various components which operate on different voltages. The final component to our feeder is a real-time field measurement system which allows us to know if the coil is actually operating as intended, and if so, what magnetic field the bees are currently experiencing. In order to create the static magnetic field, I designed a 700-turn bunch solenoid consisting of 4 hand-wound coils of 175 turns each. This design was chosen as it allows the camera to easily see bees as they enter and exit the tube. The magnetic field created is not quite as uniform as that of an ideal solenoid. We can see here in finite element magnetic modeling software that the yellow spots indicate a stronger magnetic field relative to the other greener areas. However, as seen in the cutaway graph where we see the magnetic field along the length of the tube, we still see a fairly uniform magnetic field of about 5 times that of what you'd find on the surface of the Earth, the magnetic field that causes compasses to point north. As for the RF or dynamic coil, I designed a small helical coil consisting of only 10 turns down the length of the glass tube, which sits under these hand-wound coils. This coil will initially be driven at 1 MHz, however, it is specifically designed to be able to be ran up to a GHz with our current setup.
Hi, my name is Justin and I've been working on the code for this project. So from the very beginning, we need to find a way to quantify the behavior of bees through video. So if you look on the left-hand side, we have our current design of the tube with the coils wrapped around it that generate the field. And by dividing this tube down into 4 different segments, we're able to come up with individualized bee counts for each segment of the tube. So on the left-hand side of the tube is where the entrance is, and on the right-hand side is where the sugar water is. So if we can count the number of a percentage of total bees found in each segment, as you can see on the graph on the right-hand side, we can track how many bees actually walk down this tube and how they're actually reacting to the field. Another way to quantify the behavior of bees through video is by tracking their specific movement. So by doing that, we are trying to see how they actually orient themselves in response to the field. So if you look on the right-hand side, we have an example marker, which is it's a very small marker. It's 2 millimeter by 2 millimeter. And what we're going to do is we will superglue it to the back of a bee. So as this bee walks down the tube, we can see exactly how they position themselves and also how they walk. For example, if they zigzag down the tube or if they're making circles, we don't know yet. So that's what we're trying to figure out. You can see it in action as we pulled some fake bees down with the marker on the back. You can see the software is able to track the movement of the bees.
So to observe the bees and to conduct experiments, we do not want to be physically there standing with the beehives. So we have our electrical control systems. So on the right of the slide, you can see basically everything that is needed. We have pumps, we have our Raspberry Pi, coils, so basically everything is driven by the power from our solar units, which is shown in slide 4. So if you're interested, we're going to go over the details in our post-demo sessions of how we're using the control system to turn on and off the Raspberry Pi and to control the relays for the coil. So for the PCB design, so what is PCB? So PCB is a printed circuit board which we can develop to make it do things that we want them to do. So in this case, to control the systems. So there's a specific software tool that we can use, which is called Eagle. So before we build a circuit, we figure out how to make the relay connections, which is shown in figure 1. And we build our own Eagle libraries, which is the part we spend fairly amount of time on it. So the result is shown in figure 2 and figure 3. So figure 2 basically is the schematic design, and figure 3 is the footprint. So to build this circuit, we used figure 1 as our guidelines. It shows a design layout which is developed by Professor Howard, and figure 2 shows the schematic design in Eagles, and figure 3 shows the board view of it. So it looks kind of messy, but it's not done yet.
In order to have our project scale across multiple feeders, we need to get away from our Lego prototype build and move to a 3D printed design. This new design will allow us to hold fluids easier and also allow the bees to feed easier, as seen in this new 3D printed model where there's much more surface area for the bees to feed. Also, this will allow easier integration with all the pumps and nozzles that need to deliver fluids in and out of the system.
For the ground truth purposes, and in order to measure the magnetic strength generated by the RF source, we used PipTag. PipTag is a wireless sensor node designed at WINLAB and built at WINLAB, and we combine it with a magnetometer to measure the magnetic field strength. The data are collected and transmitted wirelessly to a receiver that is attached to a computer. The receiver also is shown here in this slide. The data can be also plotted and displayed in real time, as shown here in this plot.
All right, here are some recent findings. So from the days of July 25th and July 26th, you can see that with the general bee counting software, where it just counts the number of bees in the tube at any given moment, the concentrations of bees are quite similar. And that might be showing that the bees are actually starting to associate the field with sugar water. However, this project is not over, and we're going to continue working in the field until at least the first frost, which will happen sometime in October. And by then, hopefully we can find some sort of correlation in the data. Thank you.